no pain, no sales. So we have to understand this very clearly. If there are no pain points, the sales will never happen in tech sales. That is why it's important that we craft the different value proposition for each specific targeted persona within our ICP criteria. I think I had consistency, and consistency pays off in the long run. That's probably one of the formula for my early success. Always keep prospecting, always be prospecting. I think that's a mindset that successful SDRs need to have, because once you stop prospecting, you will feel the pain in the coming weeks for sure. Why is a multi-channel approach so important? If one channel is not performing well, there are chances that the other will performing good. And they somehow think they need to be perfect. And I said, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody is perfect with cold calling. This is a skill that you master over time. Always share and always give more than you get. I usually say give, and don't expect anything to get in return. And the miracle will happen when you don't expect anything in return.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. So today we have a very interesting guy that I have come to admire and enjoy talking with over the past months. I've got Srba Markovic here. He is a team lead currently and running the SDR team over at DeckRobot. We're going to hear more about the company. Why Srba was so interesting for me to have a chat with is because he's somebody who stepped into what is usually a very early, not early stage, but like early in a career, like an entry level position. He stepped in his a bit later years, and that's always fun to watch people with experience, how they excel in IT companies, in the startup world, in tech sales in specific, as well as I want to talk with Srba about specifics of how they're growing their company, how they're using sales and outreach strategies for their GTM motion, and how they're winning in their market. So without further ado, Srba, I think I gave a little bit of a tease, but maybe you can introduce yourself and we can kick it off.
Yeah. What a great intro. I have to admit this. Thanks for having me this interview. I am always happy to share my experience and ideas when it comes to tech sales. Hopefully, I'll bring some value to this conversation.
100%. Don't worry about it. I'm confident in the things that you know and that you do. So maybe you can give a quick little overview of your background. I think you come from a more of a B2C style of sales and stuff like that.
That's right.
And just like, how did you end up in tech sales as an SDR in the first place, and then how have you grown into a leader?
I mean, it's been a great and crazy journey at the same time. Losing jobs some 15 months ago, and having family with 3 kids and housing loan. It's not a pleasant thing, to be honest. So I just, decided to take care of my own destiny, and I start, just investing heavily in myself, learning everything there is to know about tech sales. So I was, just watching podcasts, following great folks on LinkedIn, reading different tech sales books. At that time, I also took one good SDR professional certificate course. It took me almost 3 months to complete. So I was really invested heavily to get the job. And finally, there was a great opportunity at the DeckRobot, and I got my first, what they call entry role as an SDR. And that's a bit weird, becoming SDR at the age of 42 is usually not what happens. Most folks are around 20 or 25 years of age, and here I am ending at this role at 42. So obviously, I was not best with cold calling. I was not best with crafting sales messages. My LinkedIn outreach was not that great. I was not active at the time at LinkedIn, and I almost had no personal brand, as they call. So I was really not good, not even close. But one thing that I keep saying to all guys, and somehow that made me stand out from the crowd, was consistency. Being consistent, hitting your numbers day by day, building your pipeline day by day, talking with your account executives, asking for feedback, doing account search with your account executives, sharing best practices with top performing SDRs. Really, I wanted really to talk with top performing SDRs, and really learning from these folks helped me a lot. And even though I was not best in any of these, let's say, main channels, multi-channel approach that we use, I think I had consistency. And consistency pays off in the long run. So that's probably one of the formula for my early success.
100%. I love that. And I actually love, I mean, consistency is a very common topic on LinkedIn. Like, hey,
That's
can you
true.
keep posting even when you don't like to, or you have no ideas what to post? Also, can you keep dialing and, doing your cold outreach when you don't feel like it, when you're feeling down? And consistency is the hardest thing, I think, to master, but also brings the best outcome, especially like I'm gonna let you speak, but it's like what Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett always say, which is like, continue compounding, because like the compounding vehicle is what makes you the money, not the big break, the crypto stuff and all of that. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Actually, going back to Warren Buffett, I like to say, one of his favorite quote is probably like, "Don't put all eggs in one basket." And it has to do a little bit with consistency part as well. Like, why is a multi-channel approach so important? If one channel is not performing well, there are chances that the other will performing good. For example, now we are facing this slow sales season, with the holidays and the summer breaks, and like emails are almost dead.
Right.
And there is this seasonality, and I think most of SDRs are probably below the quota, even though it doesn't look like that. Just reading posts on LinkedIn, it seems that everybody is above the quota, but in reality, it's not. But that's another story. And really, doing multi-channel approach and also working with a multi-accounts at the same time in a consistent way is something that pays off. So completely agree. Once again, you don't really have to be perfect. I keep talking with the new SDRs. They reach out to me more often. And it's so cool that pretty much every day on my DM, I have some questions from new folks looking to break into tech, and they somehow think they need to be perfect. And I said, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody is perfect with cold calling. This is a skill that you master over time. The same goes with the email prospecting or crafting your sales messages. But really the consistency, a self-discipline, a clear workflow that you're going to have. So each and every day when you show up at your work, is that 8 o'clock or 9 or 10 a.m., you really have to know what you're going to do for the day. Like, what are the accounts that you're going to go after? Are your all leads ready? Do you have their emails? Did you bounce test them? Do you have their mobile phone numbers if you're going to do cold calling? And, just do time blocks. We know the cold calling works best in the morning and afternoon. So having the workflow, the discipline, the system, and with the consistency, I am sure you're going to do just fine in SDR role. No question about it.
I love that. No, I think that's an extremely powerful message, and a lot of people forget it. And also, I mean, this isn't human nature, but when we hit a little bit of success, we feel like we can slow down. And that, I think, is
the problem.
Yeah,
And once
exactly.
if you don't keep building your pipeline, like for a week or 2 weeks, it seems things are going well. You keep getting demos, but those are the demos. For example, I booked one demo last night, I think, but it came from my old outreach. I know it wasn't my effort that I was putting like last couple of days or last couple of weeks, and it happens. But ABP. Always keep prospecting, always be prospecting. I think that's a mindset that successful SDRs need to have, because once you stop prospecting, you will feel the pain in the coming weeks for sure.
100%. I felt it on my own skin,
Yeah,
working with my own clients as well as on my business. Whenever I kind of take the foot off the pedal, it doesn't create what an effect like month or 2 months down the road.
yeah.
So a very very strong message there. I want to talk about DeckRobot and what the company is all about, what your kind of size or whatever the position on the market that you're currently in, what are some goals that you're kind of trying to achieve, like whatever you can share.
Yeah,
That would
sure,
be that
sure.
would be awesome to understand, like who you guys are selling to
I
and
don't,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
I don't think there are much secrets. Hope my management won't have any issues with that. But definitely, DeckRobot is using generative AI for PowerPoint presentations. So what we do, we are a Microsoft add-in that turns hundreds of raw slides into enterprise-ready slides in really a couple of clicks only. So that really saves so much time on Monday repetitive tasks. We mainly go after Big Four and other major consulting companies. I have to say, those are usually very big consulting companies. Um, we go after decision makers. So we are in enterprise B2B sales. And what we do, our tool can save hours and hours that those folks spend on mundane tasks so that they can really do what's the most important, and that is working with their clients, providing value for their clients, and really putting more proposals and making more money at the end of the day. So we really want to do the branding, the resizing and formatting on hundreds of PowerPoint slides within really a seconds, not hours. Mm-hmm. And so we really saved, probably we can save some 6 to 8 hours per week per user, which is, considering the hourly rate of consultants is, I would say, a big money. And that's the use case that we are trying to promote. Considering, as I said, maybe a bit as you probably expect, with the enterprise sales cycle, they usually last probably somewhere from 6 to 9 months, I would say. And our annual contract value is around 100 or 150K. That's, I guess, pretty much normal. We usually run trial periods for several months before full rollout. I think we usually don't do the pilot because it's hard to measure KPIs and customer expectations. Mm-hmm. So we usually go with trial periods before main rollout. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty much, yeah.
Got it. Yeah, so let's recap. It's an enterprise product. You're basically helping the biggest consulting companies in the world. I'm assuming Big Four, MBB, and all the others that kind of fall into that bucket, to save a ton of hours per user per week. Yeah. You're doing enterprise sales, and for everybody listening who's not familiar, you've got, like, let's say three different stages of the type of like sales that you can do. It's like enterprise, which is selling to these big accounts, and it usually like spend a lot of time closing those deals, but those deals are like 100K plus, in your case like 100 to 150. You've got your mid-market, which is usually like quicker, a couple of months, 3 months, up to, let's say, maybe, I don't know, 6 months. I don't know, like it's really fluid, and it's a bit less expensive. And you've got your SMB, so small to medium businesses that are just like up to, I don't know, like 1,000 or people who, and you're like selling a couple of $1,000 or euros per year contracts, which isn't that.
Yeah, you made a great breakdown of these, let's say, different levels. I think it's obvious for us, but I understand it's not obvious for everyone. And just really understanding your ICP and targeted persona is so important. And I think if usually people ask me, like, what is one crucial thing with the tech sales when you break into tech sales? What is probably the most important thing. What should I learn first? And I keep saying to young folks there, just invest your time in really understanding your ICP and what are
Nice.
your potential buyers, because you can be the best with cold calling. You can craft really good sales messages that convert, that drive prospects attentions. But if you are going after folks uh, who have no pain points that your solution can solve, it seems like a waste of time and you won't be successful. So I'm really glad that you make this analysis of different markets, because like the ICPs and personas we go after in all these three markets are completely different. And no
100%.
wonder why our enterprise sales cycle lasts six, sometimes even 9, or maybe even 12 months. It's frustrated. It requires many different follow-ups. We engage different groups of people, a different group of decision makers along the line, and then the legal alignment, IT alignment, shareholder alignment. They are so different stages until we finally get the deal signed and we start having the paying customers, which is the most important at the end of the day, right?
Exactly. I love that you brought up ICP, as I 100% agree with you, which is, and so for everybody listening, ICP, or your ideal customer profile, it's a jargon for like B2B sales and marketing people, but basically it's your ideal profile for your clients. And basically what it helps you realize is like, what kinds of companies am I looking for, right? What are their criteria? What are the pains that I'm solving for? Or rather, like, who's the persona that I am helping? Is it like the CEO, or is it I don't know, like you guys are probably selling it to, I don't know, partners, or like maybe even standalone consultants. I don't know what that looks like. Probably not consultants, but and then like figuring out what their pain is, and then crafting the messages to solve those pains, right? Does that look like something like you guys are doing anyway?
I mean, that's great. Obviously you've done a good job. I know previously you were as SDR, so, all your words are true. And I can just confirm, understanding ICP and really based within your ICP, right? There are certain targeted personas, right? Those are groups of people that are most likely to buy from you, and those folks, they have some problems that potentially your solution can solve. I usually say to people, there are no tips and tricks in tech sales. Most of us come from traditional sales. It's more like transactional sales, where we, as experienced salespeople, could probably play a little bit, use a little bit of psychology of sales and really convince our buyers that the product is really something they need. In tech sales, there are no tips and tricks, no pain, no sales. So we have to understand this very clearly. If there are no pain points, the sales will never happen in tech sales. That is why it's important that we craft the different value proposition for each specific targeted persona within our ICP criteria. And, we have this very extensive 6-week onboarding program for our new hires. And like after first week, when new people get to learn about company, about the different teams, about our product features, competitors, and all this stuff, next, second, probably, and third week, we spend making sure they understand our ICP and our targeted persona. That is how important that thing is. And then from week 4, 5, and so on, we do, the outbound strategies and multi-channel that we use, and we do different workshops and really teach them about the sales skills they need to have, and prospecting skills mainly. But like ICP, it starts with ICP and probably it ends with ICP. So that's how important it is to understand.
I
I'm
love
glad
that.
you're pointing out this. Yeah.
So that is extreme. Like that's literally the number one thing. Like for example, okay, you're talking from a perspective of running an SDR team inside of a B2B company that's already significant in size, but even in early stages, maybe even more so in early stages, it's crucial. For example, when I start working with founders or their sales and marketing teams, well, literally the first thing, even if they think they know their ICP, that's the first thing that we go over. So
Yeah,
like, who are you going after? What messages are you putting in front of them? How are you reaching out to them, or how are you creating content for them? Whatever. Are you actually addressing their pain? Because like a wise man said, if there is no pain, there's not going to happen a sale, and
absolutely,
that's 100% truth. Speaking
absolutely.
of ICP and personas, and like, okay, you mentioned consulting companies. Can you break it down? What are some of, let's say, I think you guys have a couple of ICPs or a couple of personas
Yeah,
that you're going
yeah,
after. Can you
yeah.
kind of dive a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah. Okay, probably that would take the whole interview, just to talk about, ICP. As I said, during our onboarding, we probably spent several weeks on ICP and persona.
Exactly.
But if I'm gonna make, let's say, the simplest breakdown, that would probably be we go after big four, as I mentioned. So those are consultants. So one group is like a consultants, folks that work with multiple clients within multiple industries,
Mm-hmm.
and they really they really have to put so many PowerPoint presentations for all these different clients, which includes rebranding, resizing. They really have to make all these nice and enterprise-ready PowerPoint presentations. So probably consultants are number one, and the second group is a marketing or usually a big consulting company. They have a marketing or design team,
Mm-hmm.
usually a little bit like junior level guys who do a little bit of this supportive work for the big guys, for the consultants, right? So one group is probably the consultants themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and the other group is like a marketing and design guys.
Got it.
So and those guys, they have a different needs. The marketing team, they want to make sure that the branding and the alignment around branding is all there. So they want to kind of make sure that the message is consistent throughout all PowerPoint slide decks. And then consultants, they want to get their job done. They want to turn these raw slides into enterprise ready slides, and without really wasting time on a repetitive and usually boring tasks. So when you take a look at these two groups, consultants and this marketing or design team, usually junior guys, they have different problems.
Mm.
They have different problems. Marketing and design guys, they don't have enough resources. They are like 10 or 15 guys that are making all these PowerPoint presentations for maybe uh, 50 or even 100, if not more, consultants. So they are
Mm-hmm.
always out of resources. They don't have enough time, and they need to deliver certain quality.
I love
So
it.
obviously, we are saving time for them, and the way that we craft value proposition for them is completely different than this other group of folks that are more consultants. They want to produce more proposals for their customers because more proposals drive more revenue, right? And they want to spend time on what matters the most, the content itself, not the PowerPoint presentation. Do they look good or they don't look good? They don't want to bother with those things.
Yep.
It's for them, it's boring. It's a mundane task that is killing their time. And you know what? The consultants we work with, I guess I can share that their hourly rate can be as high as $2,000, if not higher.
Yep.
So if you
Yep.
save 3, 4, 5 hours a week times 4 weeks a month, you are saving 10,000 or 15,000 a month per one single consultant. So
That's
you
right.
understand the benefits they are looking at. Yeah.
I do, and I
I
bet
try to
they
be short.
understand.
I try to be short, but the idea is that for every targeted persona, So the group of people, there are certain pain points that a specific group of people have, and they are our value proposition that is addressing every specific pain points. That's how we break down our ICP and personas.
Brilliant. I love that. And the reason that I'm very focused on this part, and I really want to dive a little bit, even a bit deeper into how that understanding your ICP rolls into your GTM strategy or sales strategy. How are you taking what you know about your ICP, the pain that they feel, how are you turning those into call scripts, into email campaigns, and how are you distributing like the target market across your SDRs?
Yeah, so maybe I can say a little bit about SDR structure and how we
please.
execute strategies without really going deeper into strategies and channels. But we are at the moment, we are a team of 11 outbound SDRs. So we are pretty much 100% focused on outbound, which means cold calling, cold emailing, and cold outreach.
Right.
And the funny thing is about, I think you mentioned the playbook. I remember when I got to DeckRobot, there was almost like no playbook or wasn't really complete. So probably one of the first thing I did when I became a SDR team lead was to craft our new playbook, because I think playbook is very important because it really explains what are the KPIs? What are the expectations for new people? Like, how do you execute outbound strategies? When we talk about emailing, like what platform are you using? What tools are you using for data enrichment tool, data sales enablement platforms like CRM? So, like, how do you book the meeting? What's your daily activity volume? So, how many emails do they need to send? How many cold calls should they make? What time should they be doing cold calling? So the playbook is a document when you really want to explain pretty much all your sale processes to a new folks. And I find this very important. I probably cannot stress enough the importance of having a complete playbook. And you know what, guys? Once you craft your playbook, don't think it's over. It's never over.
That's the beginning.
Yeah, it's a beginning. When I look back at DeckRobot like 6 months ago, and today we are like completely different companies, right? We also probably collected several funding rounds in the bid time, and we are growing, we are expanding. We'll probably talk more about some VP roles that we are seeking at the moment and what are our plans for future. But like as you grow, as you develop, things are changing. You know, the SaaS sales is probably the fastest industry in the world, and things change. What worked 6 months ago or a year ago probably does not work anymore, and that's fine. So you need to keep what I usually see in orgs. They have like outdated playbooks that they still use. And, when you read that book, you say, you know what, that doesn't really reflect what you guys are currently doing. Why don't you update this? Why don't you change? So I think having the playbook is very important, but also updating it periodically is also important. Considering our geographies, I mentioned obviously going after Big Four and major consulting companies that leads you to US. North America is the most dominant, is the strongest market financially in any sense, and headquarters of Big Four and other major consulting companies are there. So US is obviously our strongest point, our main focus for outreach. But we also do Europe, like DACH region specifically, Germany, Switzerland. There are some other countries within European Union, and UK obviously being very good ones. So probably those are like 4 or 5 geographies that are most dominant for us, most important. Of course, there are others, but maybe not that important to mention at this moment. And then we end up with the probably SDR and account executive collaboration. I would probably like to say, one thing when I turn into like SDR leader, you are individual contributor. But now
Right.
you are a team contributor, so you don't really worry about yourself. Did you hit your numbers? How many emails did you send? How many calls did you make? The LinkedIn outreach, all this. But you really have to make sure that your team is successful. And me being 42 at the time I entered in the tech sales, it really helped me because obviously I had several managerial roles in past, so this helped me. Some people ask me, is it really, I don't think it's really normal to break into tech with 42 and then 4 months later to get promotion to the SDR team. So I don't want people to have this, I don't want to say illusion. Obviously, it is possible, but I probably think that promotion take place in 12 months or maybe 18 months. That would probably be a normal, let's say, career progression. But me, I came obviously with some other experiences. Empathy, I think EQ needs to be higher than IQ, right? Especially when working with people. My main job was to make my SDR team successful. Also having MBA degree, you're not gonna see that on my LinkedIn profile unless you scroll down and then you see I have also MBA, which is, for those of you who know, it's quite demanding 2 year, sometimes 3 year business program. So I did learn all the time. I gain new knowledge. And SDR and account executive collaboration is a crucial for driving revenue in every organization. So let's be very clear about this. My SDR team can be as successful as they want if we don't have a support, or if we don't support our account executive team, it's most likely we're not going to be successful. Yeah. So I usually try to collaborate with account executives, asking for feedback. We do together account search. We ask them, to provide feedback. We watch their recorded calls. So we have one-on-one on regular basis. I also motivate everybody to have a weekly calls one-on-one without me being present, so that they can really not just work as a colleagues, but really become friends, because more they start understanding each other. At the end of the day, we want to bring qualified opportunities. Exactly. That's the goal for both.
I don't want to forget asking this question, because this is a huge sticking point for a lot of companies that bring on AEs. They've been doing, for example, founder-led sales. They had a couple of SDRs who were driving meetings. Now the founder needs to, first of all, let go of being the salesperson. They need to let AEs do their jobs, which is hard enough. But then, especially in this remote world, these functions tend to silo themselves. Not just sales, for example, from marketing. It's also SDRs and AEs, and they work in separate flows, which is a huge pain because so much money is left on the table. SDRs don't, like you nailed it. Like when SDRs and AEs talk with each other, there's synergy. But when they don't, SDRs don't know what the AEs want and what they value. AEs are like, yeah, my SDRs are wasting my time, and nobody's benefiting. So what my question is, how would you make sure that either somebody in your position, so sales, SDR, AE managers, directors, whatever, or for example founders in similar stages, how would you make sure that those silos either don't happen or are as much mitigated as possible? I mean, okay, you've mentioned making sure they talk to each other, but like could you elaborate that a little bit deeper?
Yeah, that's probably going back to a VP of sales role. And I would probably think that is the guy who is responsible just to make this smooth transition, right? From SDRs who are hanging off the deals and account executives hopefully closing these deals. And really, VP of anything, not just sales, carries high expectations. But what I often see, let's not get it wrong. Sometimes I see VP of sales, they are expected to close like 10 million revenue. And 50 or maybe even 100 million revenue, and leadership has a high expectations of VP of sales. But I think VP of sales is really about recruitment and about making this sales process is running smooth. SDR account collaboration is one of them, and maybe even the most important one. And also forecasting. VP of sales should give some numbers and what are the expectations, how many deals, what's the conversion rate, and those kinds of things. But it's not like usually they expect somebody who will step in and next 2 or 3 months, they will close like 100 million revenue, which is really, I don't think that's the main job. And what I read, I think it was even yesterday, I read somewhere that chief revenue officer in a startup companies last less than two years only. Mainly because they are unrealistic sales expectations, so unrealistic sales targets, and companies change directions so often that this new guy cannot adapt. And somehow he is forced to leave because of these unrealistic expectations and these directions shift from time to time. So, working in the SaaS startup, you cannot really expect that you have all procedures in place. Like there are no playbooks, there are no procedures. This SDR account collaboration is not ideal one. So I really want to make sure that new people that are thinking of joining SaaS, that's fine, but then they have to understand, do they really want to go to the startup, or maybe they want to more reach out some established tech companies, because in a startup space, don't expect things to be perfect. Because we are still figuring out, we are struggling with our first customers. We are still developing procedures. I can say, a few details about DeckRobot. We recently hired a VP of HR of people, right? VP of product. We are now seeking VP of account management and customer success. So there are different VPs. You can guys check on our website, or please reach out directly to me. So I will be more than happy to connect any of you guys who might be interested in VP positions. And so, we have to be really clear what are the expectations. So sometimes I think we expect too much of VP. And going back to your previous question, about the SDR and EA collaboration, how can that make smooth? It's a challenge. I don't want to, give some different opinion. It's a challenge. I see it's working pretty well at DeckRobot. So what we do, we really have this weekly one-on-one meetings with our account executives. We do account search together. So before deciding to outreach some accounts, some companies, we come to a mutual agreement. We check the leads. If there is a good number of potential leads that really fit within our ICP criteria, so we work this together. We ask for feedback on a daily basis, and we somehow try to keep account executives as a part of our team. We are all together like the part of sales team, but I think, we try with the weekly meetings and even daily meetings. We sometimes, for example, I can give you this. I'm very proud of this actually. The account executive who hired me at DeckRobot some year ago, I just crafted the new sales message with this guy last night. So we sat down together. We had some issue. You understand that emails are almost dead, like during summer. Like nobody really opens the emails. They don't read. So the response rate and open rate and reply rate is kind of low. So we are doing way better with the cold calling and LinkedIn outreach at the moment, voice prospecting, video prospecting together. But at the moment, emails are not good. And we were trying to see, can we really craft the new sales message with the new value proposition for US market specifics. And I was really working with one of account executives and few of my top performing SDRs to craft this message. So I think that's important, because then this is the product of our collaboration, and then we want to push execution together. So it's not us or them giving us something, as a ready-made, but it's really us crafting it together. So when it comes to execution, both parties are willing to push forward all the way.
I love that. So okay, let me recap what you said. Basically, you're saying one, manage expectations. In which stages is the VP of sales or a CRO actually needed, and what their job is. Is not necessarily to close business. It's more to create processes, procedures, to put people in places, to put butts in seats, and to make sure that everything is running smoothly. And so that's like just managing expectations of who is supposed to do what. So from what I'm hearing, it's probably better for somebody who's more early stage to hire AEs rather than or maybe a hands-on manager, whatever, who's still doing prospecting, but not hire a VP of sales who's more of a operational role, an admin role. And I don't want to belittle great VPs of sales out there, but like prioritize. The second thing that you're saying is basically make sure that it's a joint effort. Make sure that it's like we're doing this together, and just create activities that prompt people to feel like they are the same team. So SDRs and AEs, they're doing things together versus in silos. Did I get that recap correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. For example, I can also add that like every Friday afternoon, I usually like we do several team meetings, like all hands meeting, all team meetings, and very interesting. So we just chat about different product updates, releases. So every department brings up like what are the most, let's say, important happenings from the previous weeks and things like that. So one of the things that we do on the Fridays meeting, we analyze SQLs. So let me just provide a little bit more content on this. SDR job is obviously to book meetings, but we want to book the qualified meetings. So account executives, he goes on the call, and if the lead is good, it's a decision maker, it is within our ICP, it has budget authority, there is a clear need, and there is a clear use case, he converts this demo to what we call SQL. SQL is a sales qualified lead. And the bonus structure for our SDRs is really around the SQLs, because this is what brings value to the company. SQL doesn't mean that deal will go all the way, right, and close, then we start getting some money, but it's a good sign that the SDR did a great job identifying really a best potential lead that really fits within our ICP criteria. There is a budget. He's in a budget authority stage, a clearly decision maker. Clearly, there is a need for our product, and it's a really qualified opportunity. So from qualified meetings, we go to qualified opportunities. So every Friday, we analyze each and every SQL. Why did it convert to SQL? So we check the ICP persona, going back to the beginning of our conversation. We check about the titles, about the roles. We check seniorities. We check all these elements that really make this person great fit for our product. And then account executives gives a little bit of explanations why this demo went so well. like what made him qualified, so that all other SDRs get to learn from this. This is a very good way, and it gives transparency in the way SDRs and account executive collaborate together, so that we don't want to really accuse anybody why my demo did not convert to SQL, because we know we are getting some bonuses at the end of the month, for like certain number of SQLs. And, we just have this transparency, and we learn so much from each other on these Friday calls. So that may be one thing. And going back to VP of Sales, let me just not forget that DeckRobot is currently seeking the VP of Sales role. So maybe that's a good thing. We had previously, but this guy decided to leave. It was like April. And ever since, we were like working together, like SDR leader with account executives, with the support of our leadership. Obviously, we were kind of running the business without VP of Sales, but at the moment we are also looking for a VP of Sales. So guys, whoever is interested, wants to talk more, get some more details from me, please do feel to reach out, and also I will connect you with the right people in my company.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I definitely encourage, and I actually forgot to tell you this, but like this place is actually the right place to call out some vacancies and hopefully help people.
We should support each other. Stefan, don't forget, when I was about to break into tech, you were probably one of the first guys that I reached out, if you remember. I had a call with you. I said to you, hey, Stefan, I am just about to break into tech sales. I pretty much don't know anything about this industry. Are you interested, for a short discussion? And I remember going on that call with you. You gave me some useful tips and tricks. And I was watching your podcast, all episodes pretty much each and every night. And this really helped me. So we really need to support each other. That goes without saying, I would say.
100%.
Always give, never expect to get.
Yep. I agree. Okay. Let's. I mean, I love this. I really appreciate the shout out. I want to touch on. So the point of this podcast is about GTM strategies. So far, you guys like your company. I'm trying to like move away from these guys types of things. You folks at the company are really. You nailed your outbound stuff. Now, I'm interested in like what is the state of, let's say, B2B marketing in your company? Is there any marketing being done right now? And if so, what does that look like? And what the alignment looks like between sales and marketing, which is probably even a bigger sticking point for 99% of B2B companies, especially as they grow bigger. They either start off either as outbound focused or content focused or like marketing focused. But then like, how do you make that, alignment between the functions? So I'm just curious to understand what's going on with you guys. You folks.
That's a great question. So obviously we talked about SDR and account executive alignment, but then now we switch to sales and marketing alignment. We are 100% outbound focused. All our 11 SDRs, we do cold outreach pretty much. And from time to time, we would get some inbound leads from our website. Usually that happens when we release a new product, or we get a public praise from some big, let's say, consultant, either individuals or companies, and that drives traction on our website, and we start getting more leads. But basically, most of our, let's say, sales success comes from cold outbound. Just recently we hired, I think a month ago, our marketing manager guy and few other guys. So we are kind of building marketing team, because as you mentioned, as we grow, you need to start having this marketing function in place. Obviously, we want to execute marketing campaigns. We want to increase lead gen, right? We want to increase our inbound calls. We understand that inbound leads are by default more qualified than outbound leads. I can even tell you about the conversion. Probably our inbound conversion rate is about 60%, while our outbound conversion is 35. We are probably seeing close to 40, which means that we improve the quality of our work. We spend more time searching for the good leads, trying to understand pain points, crafting more personalized messages, but not just personalized messages. We also talk about relevancy over hyper personalization. I usually see people talking about personalization, and with AI tool now, you can even do personalization at scale, which is fine. It's always good, but don't forget about relevancy. How is this relevant for me? Nice to personalize, but I want to also see the relevancy. How is that working in my particular case?
Yep.
So going back to marketing, we want to increase the number of inbound leads because obviously they are more qualified, and MQL, marketing qualified leads, right? The conversion rate is higher. We also want to do the rebranding. This is our next step, and we wanna promote these product features releases, so that we can start targeting qualify accounts, because with a clear marketing function and with a more strategic marketing executions, definitely we are looking to decrease the enterprise sales cycles. I mentioned earlier, ours is around 6 to 9 months. With marketing efforts, I think we can decrease sales cycles, which is always good. And we also can increase the annual contract value because, targeting, qualify accounts only, clearly communicating the benefits of the products and new releases. And this all should drive, the traction on the website, bring more qualified inbound leads as a result. So these are our plans for the marketing. I'm very, very excited about this.
I love this. You guys, your company is currently in an interesting period of implementing, marketing as a B2B go-to-market function. And what I really love is that, at least you, but it seems like the whole company does understand the benefit and value of having such an addition to whatever you're doing currently for your go-to-market. And what I really love is that it's not just about shortening the cycle. It's like shortening the cycle 5x. It's like if it takes you 6 months, it can take you a month. Why are people more inclined to spend more money? Because they trust you, because you've built a bridge already, because sales cycles last for 6 to 12 months because you're actually building trust. And
Absolutely.
What marketing does is does that on autopilot without the salespeople having to do it themselves, right?
Yeah, you just hit the target there. You mentioned probably one thing we haven't spoken about, and it's building trust. And probably one of the biggest difference in tech sales with traditional sales is about building trust. So it takes more time, and people ask me why there is a need to build a personal brand on LinkedIn. I usually ask these folks, if Elon Musk wrote you on LinkedIn, would you respond? And I'm getting the answers yes. And I say, you don't have to be Elon Musk, right? But you are responding to people that are not strangers to you. Mm-hmm. So if you build your personal brand, if people know you before you even reach out to them, there is way more chances that they will respond. They will start conversation. You will start building trust, and over a course of certain period of time, that trust will result in new opportunities and new deals closed. So that's why there is the importance. Building trust is probably the most important thing. And usually I see people that want to break into tech, but they come from some traditional sales industry. They talk more about transactional sales. Mm-hmm. happens once, twice, three times, that's fine, and then you move on to the new customer. In tech sales, it's always about building trust. So this is a very good point. I don't think we mentioned in this
Yeah.
interview. I just don't want to finish the interview without. No, I mentioned consistency several times, but like building trust is probably the next most important thing. Yeah. So good point there, Stefan.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, that's how you and I built our relationship, which is like, you publish on LinkedIn, I publish on LinkedIn. We exchanged a few notes here and there. We had the initial chat when you just broke in. I was doing some other things that, and like over time, I'm confident that I can call Srba at any time and be like, dude, how do I don't know, like solve this challenge? Or
Yeah.
can you talk to my audience and, educate about how you guys are building your go-to-market function and stuff like that. So building trust is everything, and I just love seeing companies understand how important that is, and we're moving away from that. I don't know, like pure cold outreach and just understanding how important it is to build trust at scale.
Yeah.
We don't have to do sales at scale and
Yeah.
personalize at scale, but we have to
Yeah.
build trust at scale.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I know we're almost at the end of our interview today. I want to thank you, and I want to make sure that is there a message that you would like to send to the audience, to either SDRs who are striving to become to come to your place, or people who are striving to become leaders, or just how to build their outbound sales motions? Like, what would be your message?
Yeah, but I also I should mention I developed a 3-week SDR training program for people who want to break into tech, and I'm doing this for free in some free time, usually on weekends, late evenings. And they are
I
really,
forgot. I'm sorry.
yeah, and there are really two reasons. People ask me why you do that. It's a 3-week, it's really extensive. And I was able to put like on one place during the course of 3 weeks, like all important, obviously, SDR and prospecting tools, tech sales we use, how we execute the outbound strategies, multi-channel, multi-account, ICP personas, everything we mentioned here. But also I do provide some hiring opportunities. I do connect folks with some recruiters from tech companies that I know. I also build trust over the year with them. So I really help folks. There are two reasons. One reason is I remember myself some 15 months ago when I was thinking to break into tech. I know this is a challenge. It's not easy. So one thing is I really want to help people who want to break into tech. I think I have enough skills and expertise so that I can really present that in a rather short period of time. It doesn't have to last, I don't know, several months or so. It's rather 3 weeks. And the second thing, to be very honest, I want to build a pool of candidates, because SDR is always searching for the qualified, SDRs who can ramp up fast. And from my course, I usually take one or two SDRs that I think they can fit to whatever requirements for our job. So those are my reasons, that nothing more than that. Yeah. And yeah, for some message, I would be happy to chat with people listening this interview. So please feel free to reach out. My LinkedIn mainly, I'm mostly active there. Also, yes, you can read my posts. They are usually interested. I talk about sales stuff. I talk about go-to-market strategies, different tech sales ideas, hints, insights. The most important thing is I talk first-hand experience only. So everything I write on LinkedIn, it really happened to me. Maybe it didn't work well, but I also share with my audience. Or if something worked well, I share with my audience so the other folks don't have to waste time or something. So always share and always give more than you get. I usually say give, and don't expect anything to get in the return, and the miracle will happen when you don't expect anything in the return. So that would be my message. And invest in yourself, really. Spend time, I see new guys, they keep telling me, I want to break into tech. I need this job. I just need to support my family. I need to start making money. I want this so bad. And then, you send them over several books, or you refer to some good podcasts they could listen at the evenings or at the mornings, different Slack communities, things like that. They don't want to do this, and I keep saying, guys, this is the fastest growing industry. If you don't want to invest in yourself, I mean, I cannot help you. And when I say invest
Nobody
in
can.
yourself, I always think about mental health as well, Stefan. We did not mention that, it's not just professionally developing yourself, but, establishing these healthy routines like having a breakfast or maybe exercise regularly, meditate or pray or whatever you might do, doing exercise regularly, just going for a walk, 10, 15 minutes, half an hour a day. That's so important because, if you feel good about yourself, you'll be successful at your work. All my SDRs, when I talk with SDRs, we don't just look at the numbers and like, did they hit the quota or not? But I also talk about their well-being because there may be some personal issues they might have at home that's affecting their performance. So if you are a sales leader, don't just look at numbers. Numbers are always there. They are very important. I understand that part. But you know what? You talk with humans and you want to check on their mental health, and you're going to check and see if there is anything you can help them with. Because if you help them overcome some either personal issues, they'll come back 10 times stronger and they'll nail their targets next month. I guarantee you on this. So that would be my message maybe for the end.
Spoken like a true leader. I really appreciate you and sharing your wisdom and experience, and sharing how you deal with leading people, inspiring people, and honestly leading by example, which is not that common these days. Everybody's an expert until they actually have to do it themselves. So it's been a pleasure, Srba, talking to you and exchanging thoughts and ideas. And we should do this more often, if not on the podcast, but offline as well. And I really appreciate you taking the time to share your message. Hope our audience has enjoyed as much as we did making it.
Yeah, same here. Thank you for having me. And I just hope that your audience learned something out of this conversation. And
I think they did.
that would make me the most happiest man in the world.